Hello everyone and welcome to All Things Watched. In this video we are going to talk about the brand new movie Silent Night, which mainly stars Joel Kinnaman and Catalina Moreno, and of course there's a few other great actors in there as well, but essentially the story really follows Joel Kinnaman's character and Catalina Moreno's character. Now honestly, going into this movie, I was really hoping for this movie to be, really almost, have the type of action that was almost on par with something like John Wick, especially with the way that this movie was marketed and the way the trailers appeared. I really thought that we were going to be seeing something crazy, some almost Matrix, John Wick level action and all that kind of stuff, and all that good stuff, especially with how it was marketed. But for me, I was actually really disappointed with this movie, and it really had nothing to do with Joel Kinnaman. I really loved his portrayal of the character, and he really did a phenomenal job with his performance, considering that his character could not actually speak very early on in the movie, which is not a spoiler because this is literally how the movie opens. But the movie opens with him and his family going through just an absolute tragedy. He ends up witnessing his child get killed. His child gets killed right in front of him. And like I said, this is something you'll see right in the opening act, so I don't mind talking about this part. It's not too big of a spoiler. And so, when he ends up losing this child, sort of with this confrontation. Well, basically what happens is there's like this gang feud or this confrontation between a couple of different gangs, and Joel Kinnaman's character, who I believe they call Godlock, he just happens to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, and his family ends up, suffering because of this sort of gang feud or this gang war or whatever it is that's going on. Him and his child and his wife ends up suffering the consequences. Now, not only does he lose his child, but Godlock himself also ends up in a very tough situation where he ends up losing his ability to speak. There be too much damage basically done to his throat, and they ends up having to do surgery on him and whatnot, and of course this leaves him not being able to talk because of the damage to his vocal cords. So I was kind of hoping that they were really going to lean into that a little bit more than what they did, but they actually don't. I was hoping to see something maybe like along the lines of what you would see with, say, Marvel's Echo. Echo is sort of like that as well, except it's not that Echo is not able to speak, it's more that Echo, she's deaf and whatnot. So I guess, yeah, she's not able to speak in the sense because she can't hear, she probably doesn't know how to talk, so she uses sign language and whatnot. Whereas in this movie, Joel can, Godlock is able to hear, but he's not able to speak. And I just wish they had leaned into that disability a little bit more and really played with that and really made that a part of the story, which they actually don't do. And I was really disappointed with that. And also I was really disappointed with the character development of Godlock as well, because it was just too unbelievable for me, even within the world that the movie itself created. Because really, when you really look at this at face value, Joel's character really only becomes this fighter, and he's only really able to do all this kind of stuff, according to the movie. At least it seems like he learns all this stuff just by watching videos. And I think that just watching videos and practicing on a dummy can only take you so far. I don't think you would actually be able to train yourself that good in the real world just by doing it the way that he did it. I think that you would have to have some form of training, whether that be military or whatever it was, even if you actually signed up for like jiu-jitsu classes or something. So even that part of it I thought was a little bit silly, but I did appreciate the fact that the first time that he really encounters one of the gang members and he really tries to go face to face with this person and fight him, he really struggles. That fight really takes a lot out of him, and the fight really goes on and on and on because of the inexperience that his character really has. So I was able to appreciate that, but then there were other times in the movie, especially more towards the third act of the movie, where there was one of the scenes I think was actually in the trailer where there's like a scene of him going up the stairs. Well, when you actually see that scene in the movie, I found that it was very chopped up as well. That you could really tell that, well, one, you could really see that it was choreographed, like it didn't really feel organic or feel like an actual scene. But then also I felt like you could really tell the editing whenever the editing, you could tell that it was edited in a certain way to try to cover for certain things. Maybe it was covering for the choreography, or maybe they were trying to cover, showing Joel's face for the sake of maybe because he was using a stunt double or something. That I don't know. I just felt like you could really feel the editing for that one scene in particular, and so that was kind of a little bit silly because they were trying to make it feel like a one cut or a one shot, even though it didn't really work, at least not for me. And all these things are subjective, of course. And now, in terms of Catalina Marino's character, she portrays not Joel, but Godlock's wife, and her name is Saya. Now, I thought she did a great job. She was definitely a standout in the movie, and like I said, Joel even did a great job with his performance as well. But I think the fact that he couldn't speak and the fact that they didn't really incorporate that into the actual story, I think it actually hurts his character a lot more. But he did a great job with his performance just through facial expressions and that sort of thing, having to, show emotion without actually speaking. So I think he did the best that he could. It's just I felt like they could have done a lot better. And so, like I said, I felt that it was very unbelievable with how he learned to fight. And then once we do get some of the action sequences, you could feel were very chopped up and very choreographed. Now, there were a few scenes that were good too. There were times when when it was done really well and it didn't look so sloppy, but I did find that the movie looked more or felt more sloppy than what it probably should have for this type of movie. But like I said, it's nothing on the actors. I think the performers did a great job. I think most of it was probably the editing and even certain choices that we've seen with the direction of the movie. And like I said, not all of it was bad, but for me it didn't quite work. So if I had to put a number on Silent Night, I would probably give this one 55%, because I did still like it more than what I didn't, so I would give it a 55, but I wouldn't really give it much higher. But like I said, these things are all subjective, so maybe you've seen Silent Night and absolutely loved it, and I hope you did, because there's nothing worse than being disappointed when watching a movie that you are anticipating. So with that being said, folks, that's my review of Silent Night. Let me know in the comment section below if you've seen it, and if you liked it, tell me why or why not. If you like this video, click that subscribe button, and until the next one, take care.